Good day to all of you, wherever you are watching from. This is yours truly, Mr. O. I want to thank you all for joining me today to have a very simple conversation. First of all, I want to welcome all those who are here for the first time. Please subscribe to the page, like the page, share this video to somebody, and let's continue the conversation in the comment section. And make sure you have your notification buttons on, all right? So that anytime we upload a video or go live, you will be among those who see it first. Yes. Thank you all to my YouTube subscribers. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube page yet, please go there. Exciting things are coming up there, and we'll be doing more videos up there. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, 𝘿𝙚𝙘𝙞𝙤. 𝘿𝙚𝙘𝙘𝙞. Go to YouTube. That is the only name. It's a unique name, 𝘿𝙚𝙘𝙘𝙞. It's a unique name. You should see my page. Let's grow it. I will encourage all of you to help grow that page as well, since you supported me on Facebook. Thank you so much. I just want to have a quick conversation with you as I drive to my destination. All right, great. So I am one of the few people who in my age group who had elderly parents. All right, let me say my dad was old. My dad gave birth to me in his 70s. Yes, because my dad passed away in 2006, yes, roughly, at 97 years. So you can do the math, all right, at 97 years. He was born in 1909. Yes, he was born in 1909, November. And I think he shares the same birth year with Nkrumah or so. So you could imagine the age group at that time. And most of you who have elderly parents know how parenting was in the 90s, in the 80s, coming up. It wasn't as we are seeing now. It wasn't the, oh, daddy, daughter, son conversation that you can sit and talk. No. There was that hierarchy in the house. Yes, there was that hierarchy in the house. I mean, I could interact with my dad. Luckily, I was the last one. I was the last born, because I was the last baby, right? And I could interact with him, but as you know, in African settings, in our African homes, in the Ghanaian home, no. You have that reverence, you know. Like, you can relate to him as your dad, as your father, but there are limits. You cannot be, you know, we don't have that luxury of playing with your dad, holding them, jumping on them. No. You know? But we had that father-son relationship. Okay? He was a very hard-working man, and he was also lucky to be part of the chief's, how do we call it? Ministers. Let's call it that way. The chief's ministers. You know, those is where the chiefs, they have all these elderly people around them that advise them and all that. He was part of that group. In fact, at a point, he was the only remaining elderly person in his age group, because most of his colleagues or peers have passed away. But he was the, you know, when they said we are going to see the elders, he was there. At 97, there was nobody in that age group. Most of his people, I mean, some of them even grew, I mean, old though. But at a point, he was the one remaining. He was the last man standing. Let's say it that way. So he has the rare opportunity to advise the chief, to be among them. So I grew up interacting with these elderly people, all right? Old men. The chief's ministers, his chief of staffs coming to our home, and they sometimes talk in coded languages. Sometimes they talk, I mean, adults. They had adult conversations in Penkasa. You know, they had these, you know, grown-up conversations where you hear everything they are saying, but you don't understand. You know, and it was like that. I grew up around them. I learned a lot. I studied a lot. But a lot could not make meaning, like I couldn't make meaning out of it. A lot could not make sense to me. I couldn't make meaning out of a lot of things that was happening around me. Because this was a young boy interacting with the elderly, seeing them do things, seeing them take decisions, but I wasn't so much into it, so I did not understand. And some of the decisions they make from afar as a kid, I look at them, I'm like, are these people, are they serious? You know, but you cannot say. No, you cannot say, because you dare not undermine the elderly in their decision making. All right, in their decision making, you dare not undermine them. In fact, even sometimes we revolt because we think, oh, you people, you are cake, you are old, you don't know anything. But deep down, they know what they are doing is right. They know the decisions they are making, the steps they are taking. You see it as not modern, not compliant with the modern behavior, but they know what they have seen, they know what they have heard, they know what they could do at the time, and they decided to do it the way it was being done. All right, it is not like these days where people question you anyhow. Oh, daddy, you can't do it that way. Oh, mommy, no, it is not right. It is not modern. It is not Gen Z standard. Those days you could not tell them what to do or what not to do. So as I was growing up, I got the opportunity to make decisions. All right, to make decisions, very deep ones. And I had the opportunity to interact with other people from other cultures and other backgrounds. And some of these things that my dad and these elderly people were doing comes back to me like fresh ideas. In the heat of the moment, it will just click, and I'm like, oh, our elders used to do this. They used to say this. They did this, they did that, they took this step, they took the decision. Oh, then I could apply it here. And when I share with some of my friends, they get amazed. They say, how? And I say, yes. I had an opportunity to talk with somebody who shared his problem with me, and we were having a discussion. And you know how sometimes we grew up and our fathers did not take care of us. Some people, and our parents, maybe your mother had to leave, your father had to leave, and all that. And this guy was very bitter. He was very angry about such a situation. And there was one thing I said that up to now I didn't know how that thing came to me, but I believe it was embedded in my subconscious whilst I was interacting with these elderly people. I told him that, did you know the choices your dad had before he made the decisions he made? He was quiet. And how? In life presents you with choices, and it is your responsibility to make the right one, and blah blah blah. I say yes. It's just like taking an exam. That is how life is. It's just like taking a multiple choice exam. Life is like taking multiple choice exam. There are so many options at your disposal. There are so many options at your disposal. Option A, option B, option C, up to option D. Sometimes you have option E, which is none of the above. Or you may have an option E that is all the above. You as a person have to make such a decision in the split of a second, because when you have 100 objective questions and you have 3 hours to answer them, you know that each question is allocated a time limit. I mean, it's allocated a certain time. So you may not necessarily have to spend the whole 1 hour on one question. You have to keep moving on. And that is how life is sometimes. You don't have the opportunity to spend 3 hours, 4 hours on a particular question. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, in the spur of the moment, you had to make a decision. And most of our fathers, our mothers, our people of old made certain decisions in those circumstances. So I was telling him that you did not know the choices that your father had. So don't be so angry. Look, there were times that I asked my mom questions. You know, when you grow up, it's like, because she was still alive when my dad passed. So I was like, so how was it like? Because I saw this. And when they are sharing, when she's sharing some of the stories, it rings. It's like, I remember when this and this and this happened. Then she'll use that to just straighten me up and order me and say, okay, see, that is why we made this decision and we took this step and we did this. I'm like, oh, at the time we didn't understand. We were angry with you people. We were talking. I say, yes, I had to do this because this was happening. There were times I'll ask myself, so why did my father had other children? And I asked myself, why did he go out to have other children? Then some of these things will come back to me. And then it keeps ringing in my mind. Did you know the choices he had at the time? So you cannot judge him based on the final outcome of his decisions. Okay? We all say, oh, we all have choices. Oh, yeah, you could have made them. Because I asked myself, why didn't he travel? Why didn't he, when everybody was going to the UK and the US and Russia? I mean, people went to, his age mates, they were growing, they were going to Russia and stuff. Why didn't he go to Russia to study? Maybe he would have been a medical doctor. Because my dad was smart. He could speak French. He was a lefty, you know. Those people, they are very dangerous. He was smart. So you keep asking, and my mom was also like that. I'm like, why didn't the guys go to school? So why? When everybody was trying to do this, why didn't you do some? And the more I ask those questions, the more I come to understand this particular quote that seemed to explain that very thing I was struggling with. That until you know the choices that they had at the time. And sometimes my mom would tell me, look, you have no idea, because my parents did not go to school. So education wasn't something they were so proud of. It was all about go to the farm, go and sell, do this, do the house chores. That was all that the life was to them. So if you come and stand here trying to judge me or trying to blame me for not becoming a lawyer or becoming a doctor or going to Russia or going to Azerbaijan, you have no idea the choices I had at the time. Yes, and this woman will tell you their life, and she will share. She doesn't like sharing, but she will share a little glimpse of it, and I'm like, really? You did all that? She said, yes. And as I grow, as I come to understand life better, as I interact with people, as I engage with people daily, these things are becoming more, understanding to me. Like I have come to appreciate these things more. That sometimes it's hard, it's difficult. In the spur of the moment, you have to make a decision. And some of us make the bad ones. Yes. Multiple choice. Look, if I am a teacher and I've given multiple choice to my students most of the time, and I did one of the things that you are not supposed to do in assessment. Good. So one time I gave multiple choice to my student, and all the answers, the first 5 were A, the next 5 were B, the next 5 were C, the next 5 was D, then I'll repeat the pattern, right? Because I knew the students I was teaching, and I knew that it would take a smart one to figure out the pattern. That semester, it was only one student, a single one student, who was able to figure it out. And he was smiling after the paper. And he came to me and said, Mr. O, you are a very bad teacher. You know, he was saying it in a jovial way. I said, why? What did I do? He said, I saw the pattern that you did, and so I'll get 100. And I said, you lie, you will not get 100. Lo and behold, he got 100 because he was able to figure it out. Right? It was a bad thing for me to do. I'm not supposed to do that. It was, you know, according to the assessment standards and everything, it was wrong. You were supposed to vary your answer choices, right? And trust me, a lot of them got 0 based on what I did. A lot of them got almost half of the answers wrong based on how I created or I positioned the answers. You understand? Instead of mixing it up, I just created a pattern. So if you're not able to get a pattern, you may keep choosing A. There are people who will say, okay, in life, every choice I'll make will be A. You understand? That will be the only answer I'll choose, no matter what you convince that person of. There are people who will say, oh, I love going to the third choices. The third choices always work for me. So I'll go to the third choices and I'll make my choice. So you realize that in multiple choice, there are people who always choose the third answer choice. That is a C. So A, B, C. Then you choose A, B, C. You choose. Do you blame them? No. It is based on a certain conviction. It is based on a certain understanding they've had in life. Maybe they are astrologists. I mean, they believe in these numbers and this, and when the moon align, when the stars align, those kind of things. So that is what they believe in, and it works for them most of the time. But it does not always work for everyone. You understand? It does not always work for everyone. So if you see people making choices and decisions, you had no idea. Most of the time, we have no idea the options they had. You know, most of the time. But we, based on the outcome of their choices, we will seem to prejudge. We seem to prejudge them. We seem to say all that we can say based on what we have seen as the outcome, but not based on our informed information or our informed position. We make it based on what they have actually shown to the world. This morning, my message is very simple. It's a brand new week. It's a brand new month. We are entering the month of April. Let us do our best in our power not to prejudge people based on what we have seen. All right? It is dangerous. It is easy to do it. It is easy to say, oh, see this man, you should have gone to school. You didn't go to school. Look at you. When your fellow men were going to school, where were you? When they were giving birth, where were you? I stayed in an estate. In Ghana, when we say estate, it's like a gated community, right? So I stayed in a gated community where I saw money, affluence. I saw young people having houses, not houses, having cars. Those days, Hyundai Genesis was fresh on the market. I saw young people driving it. They were less than, 30. I saw grown-ups also. And there was one thing I observed when I was staying in that particular community. I saw a lot of elderly people having young kids. Yes. Couples that you could see that they are in their 50s, they are in their, 60s, have kids as young as 10 years old, 5 years old, 3 years old. And when I walk around, I talk with friends and we ask ourselves questions. Why is he now, why is he giving birth so late? Why did he give birth so late? Why are you now, look at his age and look at his children. Then we try to use our carnal mind, in quotes, to analyze that person's situation, which is easy for all of us to do. It is very, very easy for all of us to do. We use our carnal thinking, our outlook, or the person's outlook to kind of, oh man, I'm not going to do that too. I'll give it very early. Hey, I will born. I will do this. I will buy my car. Then. Look, there's a difference between what we say, what happens in the process, and the outcome that we live with. So I will say this morning that as we enter April, as we are entering in this new week, please do your best to stay clear of analyzing people's decisions when you have not seen the options that they had. Look, we are all guilty of it. I do it sometimes. Yes, and we are all human, and that's what makes us human. I do it sometimes, right? There are times that I look at people and say, so why didn't you do this? So why are you still here? Why are you? But then in my sober moments, this thing rings in my head. I say, well, did you know the choices that he had? Did you know the options that he had? Probably if they had presented some of the options that our parents struggled through. Look, every day I use my dad as an example. I say, if maybe I was in his shoes and they had presented me with certain options, probably I would have made the weird decisions. Yeah, I would have made the weird decisions. But probably he made those decisions at the time based on the options, based on the timelines, based on so many things, circumstances surrounding him. Because in that exam room, in that moment, spur of the moment, in that exam room, you are thinking on your feet. You don't have the luxury of going to use ChatGPT. You don't have the luxury of going to use any of the AIs, calculate. No, you don't have that option. There and there, it is A, B, C, up to D. You must make a choice. You have solved it. You don't know the answer. But at the end of the day, you still have to make a choice. So, you will decide, I'm going for option A. Let's see what happens. I've been in exam rooms that, recently I took an exam and I had to make answer choices after solving and everything. I'm like, no, this exam, no, this question, I don't believe in the answer. So let me just make a choice. And I'll make that choice. There are times I get it right. There are other ones I got it wrong. You understand? And I want us all to do that. Reshape your thinking, reshape how you approach life, how you look at people. Yes, there are certain core values that we will all talk about. There are certain core decisions that we will all encourage each other to take. But it gets to that moment where you sit back and you're like, why did they make these choices? Which options did they have? Why are we where we are? And not all of us can answer that question. And even you watching me now, you can look at some of the decisions you made, and you look at the choices you had at the time. You realize that it was tight. Yeah. Some of you made money decisions that you are not proud of. Some of you made family decisions you are not proud of. Some of you made relationship decisions that you are not proud of. When I talk about relationship, it's broad. Don't look at it as man-woman relationship alone. No. Business relationships. Some of you entered in some business relationships that you are not so proud of. Right? You are not so proud of. If you are given the opportunity again with what you know now and what you have seen and what you have experienced, you would have made a different choice. But at the time, you made the choices based on the options that were available. There was time constraint. There was so many life constraints. Some of the decisions are between life and death. You made certain health decisions right there in the moment. 2-3 years down the lane, you catch yourself and say, I wish I didn't make this choice. I wish I didn't go this way. And the more you say, I wish, if you don't take time, you'll be depressed. But you did what was available to you at the time and you move on. All right. Thank you all for engaging with me. Share this video to somebody. It will bless somebody. And let's engage with the channel. Please subscribe and like the videos that we make. Support the work we do, and we'll definitely interact again another time. Have a blessed day. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.